I hope you're all doing well. This is another series of running questions and answers. Another one of that I received by one of my subscribers. His name is Invincible Isaac 2000. He did ask some great questions. The first question is: in the past, you've mentioned mixing up the pace of your long runs, and I remember you talking about running mile reps at faster than race pace during a long run. Would you recommend people doing short reps as part of long runs? Examples of reps of 400 meters or 600 meters, or would you save those distances for midweek track workouts and only resort to the longer reps, 1K or 1 mile, during those long training runs? Great question. In terms of the varied pace long runs, I do think that because the overall focus of the long run is to build endurance and to build stamina, doing portions of that long run where you're running portions of several miles or very fast 1 mile reps in the middle of those faster pace, very pace long runs is key, because you're focusing more on building that endurance and stamina, and the long run really should be focused on not only burning fat more effectively and teaching the body to utilize fat at faster paces rather than using up all the glycogen. I mean, when you're running at faster paces, again, the faster we run, the more anaerobic we become, the more oxygen is required. Also, more inflammation is built up, especially after these very hard workouts that we do. So long runs, one of my favorite types of long runs would be like a 24 miler where I'd run every fourth mile under 5 minutes. And then going back into moderate paced effort, several miles at very easy, relaxed effort. But every fourth mile would be a sub 5 minute mile. Okay, so of course you could run portions of that long run, 400 to 600 meters in the middle of your long run. Maybe even finding telephone poles, or running, running the distance of 2 telephone poles, and then jogging for 2 telephone poles. It just depends on the location you're at, and obviously if there is telephone poles, but it doesn't even have to be that. Just find some kind of object out there, or program your watch to run repeat 400s and run a set of 400 meter reps in the middle of those long runs. But again, the key is starting and finishing those long runs and not running so anaerobic that you're not going to be able to complete the long run at a faster pace. Okay, and definitely running slow and easy for long periods of time is absolutely critical too, because again, you cannot run fast and every single weekend and expect really high returns on your investment. You have to make sure that you're paying attention to recovery runs, your nutrition, your recovery methods, whether those are ice baths or mesotherapy. All the fundamentals that go into really running great times has to be paid attention to. So, but I would keep the long runs revolved around what they are focused on, and that is building that strength and stamina and endurance that you need in order to run at goal race pace longer than your competition. Okay, this is why I always stress the importance of not just getting in this rut of thinking I'm going to run long, slow, and easy every single weekend, and my long runs are just going to be long and slow. You have to get outside of your comfort zone, especially in the new year. Start thinking outside of the box, okay? The majority of the world, many runners run way too easy on those long runs. And again, it's also dependent on what your goal is. Your goal might not be to qualify for the Boston Marathon, or to qualify for the Olympic trials in the marathon, or run a sub 3 hour marathon. Maybe it's just to start and finish a marathon. Okay, and that's a huge task and a huge accomplishment for any of you who have that in mind. So those athletes out there that just want to start and finish a marathon, focus on just consistency. Don't focus on being so specific and so technical with your training. And I can get that way with talking about training for races, because again, the faster you race, whether you're trying to break a 5-hour marathon or you're trying to break a 40-minute 10K, the faster you're trying to aim for, the more specific you have to be and the more technical you do have to be, because again, running fast is an art form. Just about anybody can go out and run or jog slow for long periods of time, and it's still an achievement to go out and do that. But to run fast and to be able to sustain your goal race pace for long periods of time, you have to start changing up your tactics in terms of how you do your long runs. So I always say alternate it. Run one weekend faster with faster effort sprinkled throughout the long run. Yes, I would keep the long run, as I mentioned, focused on what it's made for. Okay, if you're training for running faster from the 5K to the marathon, then get used to running at faster efforts throughout that long run. So it might be, running a few miles at 20 seconds slower than your goal race pace, your goal marathon pace, followed by 3 to 4 miles running easy, followed by 1 to 2 miles at your 5K to 10K race pace. Okay, and then running easy a few miles or a few kilometers, and then running a mile at maybe your 3K to 5K race pace. Okay, so you do want to keep it revolved around what it's set up for, and then focus on your 400 to 600 meter repetitions that you mentioned. Focus that on midweek track workouts, like you mentioned in your question here. Really focus on your speed and doing those shorter types of repetitions, either on the roads or on the track. You don't necessarily have to do repeat 400s or even repeat 200s on the track. You can find a paved bike trail or roads and program that into your Garmin or your sports watch. I mean, with the technology we have today, you can do those repetitions on the roads if you want, just to mix it up and change how you're training. Okay, your second question is, how long did your recovery runs used to be the day after a hard workout or race? Great question as well. At my highest mileage, the highest week I ever did was 142 miles a week, but most of my mileage was anywhere from around 70 miles a week to around 100 miles a week when I was training for marathons. After hard workouts, usually runs of anywhere from 5 miles to 10 miles, but again, they were very, very easy. Okay, and I would always give myself a minimum of 24 hours, but sometimes even up to 72 hours of recovery. Okay, like if you're going to run a half marathon or a 10K, I would run easy, jogging after your race for a minimum of 2 days, 2 to 3 days. Again, you're not going to lose any fitness by just jogging for a couple miles or a few miles or kilometers the couple days or even up to 3 days after a half marathon or a 10K. Okay, if you're running a marathon, I would recommend giving yourself about 1 or 2 weeks completely off. Definitely focus on hydrating well, paying attention to nutrition and recovery, ice baths, getting a massage after those longer types of races, which take much more out of us versus, say, a 5K or a 10K, which you can do just about every other weekend. And so in terms of the distance of my recovery runs after hard workouts or races, if it was a short race like a 5K, I usually jogged for a couple days after that race, and then did a faster anaerobic workout the third day after that 5K. But if it was a longer race, like a 10-miler half marathon, myself 2 to 3 days of easy, relaxed jogging after a 10K, 10-miler, and half marathon. And again, as I mentioned before, if it was a marathon, I had no issues taking a week or two completely off. And so always make sure that you're listening to your body. If you're feeling any type of ailment or any type of pain, take a few days off. You literally could take 1 week completely off and allow yourself time to heal, and then start back into your training without losing hardly any fitness. Then that would be a much better choice rather than continuing to try to train through an injury or any type of issue that you're dealing with and then risk being forced to either have to have surgery or be forced to be taken out of your training for several months because you were too hyped up and too driven to continue to train through an ailment. So don't do that. So I hope this answers the question for you, Invincible Isaac. I appreciate your question. And you also said here, and I'm wondering if I should aim for 8K recovery runs or increase it to 10K or 12K runs. Again, it just depends on how fit you are. An 8K recovery run, that's 5 miles. You shouldn't have really much issue with that as long as you've been staying consistent with your buildup. And, that's totally feasible. 8 kilometers is fine. 10 kilometers, 6 miles, a little over 6 miles, that's still okay. Again, if you're doing consistent mileage and your volume is relatively at moderate levels, 35, 50 miles a week or higher, that should be totally fine. Again, just listen to how your body's feeling, and if after a workout, a very hard workout, if you're really feeling flat, take that day off, or jog for 3 miles and call it a day at 3 miles, and then do the next day, maybe do a 5 or an 8K run the second day, and then start building up your volume and start working on your harder anaerobic workouts after that. So I hope this answers your question in terms of the Run Dream Achieve running question and answer series I got going on here. If you have any other questions or concerns, feel free to leave me a comment below. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so when I make new videos, you'll be notified of it. And continue to check out the resources below these videos if you're looking to train for, looking to set a new personal best in your chosen event, or you're looking for a running course. Definitely go to RunDreamAchieve.com. There are definitely resources here for you all to help you get to the next level in your training. So with that, I'll end, and I wish you guys and gals all the very best in your training, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.